Hey, welcome to today's episode of the Further Insights podcast. I'm Andrew Schuster,
I'm Alfonso Colasuonno.
and today's guest is David Alima, founder of the Charmery. So excited to have you, David. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. This is so wonderful. Happy to be here.
That's awesome. Well, we're neighbors, technically. You have a location right here in Hamden and several others, right?
Hamden was the first shop we ever opened. It's where the dream began. It's a beautiful little neighborhood.
Is it still your most popular store, or have you found that other areas have become
It's still
as dense?
It's still number one.
Mm-hmm.
It has
from
some,
the area?
It has some competition, but yeah, I am from the area. I have such really fond memories of Hamden growing up. My family used to go to this awesome Chinese food restaurant where Golden West is now, and then we used to go to Golden West when it was down closer to where the Charmery is, in one of the little row house spots. I think where Luigi's is.
Full circle.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We spent a lot of time in it. We loved Hamden.
Was that part of your thinking when you started Charmery? Like, this is a Hamden kind of quirky spot? Or is it like part of the DNA, or is it just happened to be a great location?
We were looking, I think, we were looking specifically at Hamden. We really liked Hamden. I know that I remember very distinctly like looking out and being like, okay, Food Market, when we opened, Food Market was the hot spot on the avenue in Baltimore. And I remember looking like, how do I get people here? It's like 3 blocks maybe. And I was like, how do I get people from there to here? And luckily people are willing to walk for some ice cream. And since then, Paulie G's has opened, and Dylan's, which is all these great spots around us. And in Watermelon Sugar, which is a great retail, one of the few amazing retail shops left in the world. So,
How long have you guys been open, let alone the Hamden location?
11 years.
Wow. Congrats.
Almost this summer will be 12, I believe. Yeah. Thank you.
So David, the $1 million question, why ice cream?
Why ice cream? The real question is why ice cream in Baltimore when it's freezing cold half the year? Well, we grew up in Baltimore, so that's number one. And I started making ice cream on a home level in a little Cuisinart machine, and I would bring ice cream to any gathering. I would just like see people love ice cream. And then in our own travels, me and Laura, my wife, who I co-own the Charmery with, we would always seek out the best ice cream shops wherever we went. We spent some time in Vietnam, and we found an incredible ice cream shop there. Anywhere in the U.S., anywhere we went, just find the best ice cream shop. And what we kind of discovered is sneakily, like, that's the heartbeat of a community. I would say like ice cream and dive bars are where, like, if you really want to get to know what's happening, that's where you hang out. And when we moved, we lived in Northern California for about 5 years. And when we moved back, Laura went to school for hotel restaurant management and really wanted to open her own spot. And we just sort of like, there's nothing like these places we've seen here in Baltimore. We really wanted to bring that.
You take a step back from there, were you on a journey to start a business with your wife? What was kind of the catalyst for you guys to go from, we love ice cream, to, hey, let's start an ice cream shop?
You know, the weird thing is this, it's like, I don't really remember that, but when we finally did open, I had friends be like, oh my God, you've been talking about this for so long. And I was like, I have been? Like, I don't really remember that. But the catalyst was, we tried to buy a diner and in Station North, and the person who owned it did not want to sell it to us. And that was probably the greatest favor anyone has ever done. So we created an LLC. We created everything. We started talking to banks, and it just fell through. And we're like, well, we're already here. What are we talking about? Let's just do the ice cream shop we've been dreaming of.
The entrepreneurship was part of your life. Did you have a career prior to taking this leap?
I had many careers. I don't know if you would call them careers. I graduated, I went to Ithaca College, and I had a degree in communications, and worked, Kung Fu Video Store. I wrote a newsletter for a chain of daycare centers. I moved to California, did food and wine PR, and then I worked with a small reggae record label, and tour managed and did marketing. And I came back here and I tried to sell inventory management software. It didn't sell any. Sorry, Sal. Come on. But I also grew up, my mother and grandfather owned a pharmacy in Essex, and my father owned a oxygen supply company. So actually if you look at the Charmery, the R is kind of, on our logo, the R is capitalized and kind of in this kind of grandiose manner. And it's because both Laura and I's grandfathers used to own pharmacies. So it's kind of, and Hamden, where we moved in, used to be a neighborhood pharmacy. So there's a lot
pharmacy
of
sign on the wall there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the original facade. And if you want to go even deeper, both my grandfather and Laura's grandfather went to the same high school and pharmaceutical college in Connecticut. And we never knew. But unfortunately,
it's crazy.
Unfortunately, they both passed before we realized this, so we never knew if they knew each other, but I'm sure they did. So it's all just this weird connection. And then we moved into a pharmacy, and it just, so it felt right from the beginning, entrepreneurship. And it was felt like in our blood. Neither of us are really risk adverse. So, yeah.
So once you started it with Laura, what did you do next? Like the initial steps to market it and really get the word out about the Charmery?
I wish I could remember so I could do more of it. Yeah, I wish I could remember. I don't, the key, we always talk about, we use a little acronym, Laura and I, LOTD, lines out the door. And summertime lines out the door is how you survive as an ice cream shop. You can't you look at the Charmery line and people go, oh my, look at that line. It's you have to remember, it's not like a restaurant where someone's getting a $12 cocktail, this, that. It's they're getting 99% of what we sell are single scoops, right? So that's you need the multitude of people. And I remember a very vivid memory was we decided we were going to open Saturday, and on Friday we were ready, and we were let's just put it on Facebook and open. We're removing the butchered paper from the window, and there's just a line out the door, across the block. And I was okay, awesome. And that line just didn't stop all that summer. And then it was other business challenges, which are how do we keep ice cream coming? How do we make sure we have it? Immediately, we realized we didn't have enough staff, immediately. And then from there, that was a really fun summer. That was I felt like I was going to go crazy, but it was awesome to look back on it now.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it now, I mean, it's great to have such a strong start right there. It's sort of the opposite, I think, a lot of people might think when you're starting is the challenge of no opening something and no one being there.
Yeah.
But how did you deal with some of those logistical challenges right there from just the immediate boom that started?
I asked Laura. She went to school for it. I was what do we do? For me, the key to Laura and I working together has always been kind of separate things, right? So she's front of house and finances, and I am production, making ice cream and marketing. So, there were challenges every day about what flavors we're making sure to we had one small machine and it was just constantly running, and I was making ice cream all the time. And then when I'm making ice cream, it was I would check my email and there'd be 25 emails that need immediate attention. So it was just the balance of it all and trying to make sure we're documenting it for social media. It was kind of a different landscape 11, 12 years ago. So
If you fast forward to now, you guys have several stores. You have, as you like to call it, the Charmery Worldwide freezers, right? You have the pies. You're doing merch now.
Sure.
I don't know if something like selling your products, distributing your products in freezers worldwide is viable, but knowing that it's a scoop by scoop market, and then you learn the logistical challenge that now that you've grown and diversified to a certain degree as an ice cream shop, what's the future growth potential, and how do you make that single scoop count? Like, what are the metrics you look for as signs of success, but also, like, are you still visioning more things, or is it really just about making what you guys have work?
Yeah, it's about for now. It's about making what we have work, and it's about maximizing the potential of that single scoop. Like for me, it was like our mission statement, our core values. It's all about like product and hospitality. Everything we do is about making sure, like ice cream, we just want people to be happy. Like that's our core value, is happiness. Like through the product, through eating ice cream, and through the experience you get. And it's more difficult to manage when you're kind of, as we're growing now. So now this year we're really focusing on like kind of getting back to those values. It was real easy when every time I remember every time before the rush, it was like 6 or 7. There's like this kind of dead silence in the store. Everyone's eating dinner, and I would just be sitting on like one of the pull-out under counter freezers. I'd pull it out. We just sit and it's very easy to like manage from this small thing, right? The more you're growing and you have merch and you have wholesale, it's like the balance of it all. We don't want that hospitality to get lost in what we're doing.
But as a customer of yours, you create ice cream. And
Thank you.
I would like to have Charmery ice cream when I'm not in Baltimore sometimes, or put a couple pints in the freezer, which I know you can get on site. But you guys have great flavors, and I think a lot of that has to do with you and your experimentation. From what I can gather, are you a full-fledged ice cream maker now, or are you entrepreneur / ice cream maker? Like, where do you find yourself on that chef versus operator kind of approach?
I find myself trying to figure out my role this year as well. I don't make ice. If I'm making ice cream, something has gone wrong, but I love making ice cream. So I would like to get back.
Not everybody be happy,
right.
so I don't know.
I would like to get back to making ice cream at least part-time. Currently, like the other problem is like I have such an awesome team right now. Like I still do flavor development and I still work on the flavors. And then shout out Joe. Joe is just such a awesome like thinker and knows how to think in ice cream. So I can give him an idea, and his methodology and like bringing it to life is often like worlds better than I could have even like dreamt of. So maybe not worlds, but it's like I very specifically for Halloween we do really challenging flavors. We call it the Charmery. Like the C kind of falls off of the Charmery. And one, I always would like stand at the machine and we taste and kind of edit at the machine as needed. And I was out sick, I think. And he's like, we did a tribute to Ben's Chili Bowl. He said, I made the Ben's Chili ice cream. And I was like, oh, I wanted to be there for that. He's like, don't worry. I think it's probably the best chili ice cream ever made. I was like, oh, he doesn't normally, speak like that. So I was like, all right. So I try it. And I was just like, how did you do? We don't put meat in the ice cream. So it's all about like kind of figuring out those flavors. And
Cumin?
It was like
A
a little cumin. What was interesting is like the thing I really liked about it was there was this like, it ended like kind of green peppery. And I remember liking that so much. And then like 2 weeks ago, every Friday we do a new flavor. So 2 weeks ago, I think 2 weeks, or maybe it was last week, I think even, we did a flavor called Ring My Bell, which was a green bell pepper flavor ice cream that like, I like that little note of it in there. And I was like, let's explore that further. So.
Yeah, I love how you were talking about how much your team and how much they contribute, how much appreciation you have for them. But I'm kind of curious, just like with you and Lara, just the buck stopping with you two. How do you determine what to delegate in marketing and otherwise versus what to take on for yourself?
Yeah, I mean that's tricky. This past year we got a director of operations, and it's all about like hire well and let people exceed expectations. So in theory, if we hire that position well, then that position will hire the managers well. And then the managers will hire the scooper as well. And it's all about taking care of the people, or like taking care of that level. So for us, making sure that our director of operations has the tools he needs to succeed, making sure that we're giving them enough opportunity to make their own choices, giving them their space, but also like making sure that like those core values, like we talked about, don't get lost. That is like kind of where I see like a major part. I'm also currently our marketing director. That's the push and pull. Is like that's the one thing I wish I was overseeing as opposed to like, but that voice and that like spirit of who we are, I find it very hard to like outsource.
Well, it's very much having worked with you guys. It's because you are so embedded in the DNA in so many ways, and it's great you're distributing it out now. But you really have a great brand and presence on camera.
Oh, thank you.
You know, seriously, and you've really been able to, I think, bring people into the Charmery. We want to hear this on the audio, don't worry. But we have directional mics. But but you know, I guess my question is, when you look at social media and you look at this incessant need for content that people have as they're listening to our podcast, hopefully the full thing, not just a 15-second clip, but you know, what excites you about social media from a marketing perspective in ice cream, like in the ice cream industry from a marketing perspective?
Yeah.
What's your view of how things are now and where you see them going?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I talk a lot about like, and we've had conversations about quality versus quantity. And I still can't get over that I want everything to be great and I want everything to have value. And that like whether it's education about our new flavor or a laugh or something that you go, oh, something. I want there to be a value of it, not just like, come to the Charmery and get pints because it's sunny out, you know? Although that's not a bad line either, but you know, like, so it's about building value. It's about people like, so like we follow a pretty strict schedule, and like I have seen like as we have kind of reduced the quantity, I have seen obviously the numbers will drop, right? Your engagement does suffer because it does want you to keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. But I have anecdotally.
He's the writer.
That one right there.
You know, people are like, I look forward every Friday for your videos. So it's about making sure that there's like something of value to it. That's at least currently how I feel. The way that I've like only recently was I like, we're doing these videos, we're posting them on Instagram and Facebook. Like, why am I not putting them on YouTube and TikTok? So now we're putting them on YouTube and TikTok, and it's such a different wild world. It's like trying to like understand algorithms is not what I am. It's what you all are good at. It's not what I'm good at, you know? So it's like, you know, why does one video get 15 views and one gets 1,000?
I wish you could see there was a rhyme or reason to it.
Right. Some of it is just...
The consistency and frequency of posting does do it, but I think to your guys' credit, if it's really authentic, the content, it always is going to resonate and speak through, and you guys have done that really well. But when you look at your diversification as a business now, having merch, I know is a new thing for you guys. It's really exciting. Like TikTok now has the live, you know, home shopping network style kind of home shopping network style kind of approach to like overlaid e-commerce while you're social streaming making the ice cream. Like, is that of interest to you, or do you want to wait to see kind of like where that platform evolves after I'm not sure what the date is today, but if it gets banned or not, for example?
So it all goes back to like 99% of what we do is a scoop. Right? Obviously, we're looking for ways to boost up our tickets and things like that. And
That's some merch right there.
This is an old one, yeah.
That's a cool shirt.
This is my favorite. It was an illustrator I loved, and I hit him up, and he was able to do it. So, but you know, like our merch, like eventually it can be shipped, but right now it's not even online. You know, it's at our shops. That's like what 99% of everything is. So like to create a system for like a few, like other merch, this merch was online and none of it sold. It sold in stores, you know? And so the ice cream is a beautiful, ice cream is like manna from heaven to me. I love ice cream. Brings happiness. It's wonderful, but it melts. so it's really hard to like, you can't ship, like to ship it online is typically, unless you're doing massive quantity, it is at cost. If you're lucky, you know, we've shipped pints before, and they're, you know, without a great system that costs like $100 almost to ship a pint of ice cream, because it has to be overnight with dry ice and all these different things. So like, I really want to like it's also the beautiful thing about it, because like you have to come and experience it. It kind of is like this thing where like, if I were to get romantic about ice cream, and I'm not above that, I will. You have to like sit there and be present in a way, like, especially if you're eating like, you know, with a bowl, and you know, it's like you're sitting and you see people talking and kids running with like, it's a beautiful thing, you know. It's like you're here and you're present and it melts. I always say to my kids, like, a cone is a big responsibility. You know, like when they were first starting with cones, I was like, you can run around if you have a cup, but if you have a cone, there's maintenance involved, you know, and it's delicious maintenance, but it's still maintenance. So it kind of is this product that demands you to be present. You don't want to take it, and like our big thing is like, I hate people having to eat their ice cream in line. Like, so once they've gotten their ice cream, then they wait in the line to pay. That pay line, I need to move really quick, because I don't want them to be like halfway through their cone and they're like waiting in line, you know? So it's like, it's like all those challenges. Another challenge is we have tasters. Like no other product in the world do you get to like try before you buy. So that's also like, I've seen some shops eliminate that. I never want to, because of these flavors we're making. It's like, no one's going to get green pepper ice cream without tasting it. People might taste it and be like, that's not for me, but it's not bad. Like that is a win for me.
So David, I love the passion you bring, obviously, to what you do and your energy. And, you know, I also love your social media. I love how
thank you.
You kind of, you know, do your own videos right there. And did you like, how was that decision made to kind of embrace being a star right there in social media and taking kind of a fun angle right there and giving people content? We follow you on social media that's really kind of quirky and really seems to capture the spirit of the brand. How was that decision made to be the star right there?
I will easily describe myself as like the world's most reluctant like social media manager, director, whatever. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to do it. And yet it's something that's so personal and something I love so much that it feels like it has to be me. I've tried to like bring more of my team into it more. I'll never forget, we work with a gentleman named Brian, DJ Impulse, and he, one of my good friends, very talented at filming. And I remember just being like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, do that. I was like, do what? He's like, just bring that energy. I was like, okay. And then like, so that's kind of like how what it is now has sort of evolved into it. It's like, I think people like understand like, obviously it's a little tongue in cheek, but we're not like, this week you have to buy this flavor. There's like this kind of like banal sort of tone to it all.
While you're getting sprayed with champagne.
Yes.
It's amazing, actually.
Right. I was like, well, if I'm going to be miserable, I might as well be fully miserable and like throw something in my face. So
that's so funny. When you look at, you know, your future of the Charmery, is it, in your mind, is growth possible in ice cream at a local level, particularly in Baltimore, whether it be through distribution, more stores, or is just increasing that lifetime value of that one scoop and really continuing that personal, deep relationship you have with the Baltimore community? Like, if you had your druthers and you could predict the future and pick one, like, is there one that you think you would?
Yeah, I mean, I love ice cream shops, and I love opening ice cream shops, and I love like the feeling of. I mean, I hate it as well. It's like that's like when I stop sleeping is when we're about to open shop, and but there is something so special about having a shop and employing in the local neighborhood, and like our Columbia shop's just such a great example of that. Like that team is so different than our Hamden team. It's like that personality of that shop is so different than Hamden or Towson. Each one of these just like kind of it needs this like neighborhood to latch on to. And that's the really fun part is like figuring out what that neighborhood is, what the people around it are, and getting the right manager in place. I would love, there's ways of like expanding without, putting out for a new shop, which is getting really cost prohibitive. And that's like our events and our catering and wholesale. I mean, the problem with our ice cream is it's really expensive. Our ingredients we use are really expensive. And what that means is like, if you see a pint in your freezer at your grocery store, it's going to be $11 or $12, and that's at us not making what we should on it. And you can get a really delicious Ben & Jerry's pint for $5. I like Ben & Jerry. You know what I mean? Like whatever, whatever it might be, Talenti or, whatever you find in the, like all that is really nice. It's not what we do. It's not like there's not the concern, the concern for the products that we're using, the farms that we're like working with, the real, like if you buy Charmery ice cream and it says green pepper, there's green pepper in there. If there's strawberry, it's made with strawberries. It's like that's the ice cream I love. It's just getting exceedingly expensive to produce. And so restaurants can get a really nice product at a much lesser cost, but that's not who we are, so that's why it feels like if we want to sell more ice cream, we have to open another shop. Like we're kind of creating our own customers, our own, like, our wholesale client, like where we produce the ice cream, we think of our shops as like wholesale customers as well. So
Maryland Mud is one of the greatest ice creams I've ever had in my life. I like the fish food for years, but one of my favorites. I'll take Maryland Mud any day.
Oh,
Seriously.
I love them both. It's not fair. I make it to what I like, so it's impossible for me to not like what we do.
So a lot of consumers could be sort of price conscious, and when they see what they could just kind of go to the supermarket and maybe get a pint of something else for $5, like, how did that inform you? Like, were there any fears about like if the market would bear it if it's at a higher price point?
It's just it can't be just like the ice cream has to be great, but it has to be a part of it, right? Like like the customer service has to be great, the line experience has to be great, the music has to be great. My team, they're like my Columbia team, they're like, can you please add some Taylor Swift to the playlist? And I'm like, I don't even dislike Taylor Swift, but you can hear Taylor Swift in Macy's. I want someone's like favorite song to play, and they're like, how is this to go from like this to like this wide variety of music. I think a lot about like the customer experience, the like hidden, like, oh, there's an Urkel doll there. Oh my God, I remember Urkel. And then like having a conversation about Urkel or Murder, She Wrote, or like all these things that like are these like pieces that are parts of me and helped raise me. Like we kind of sprinkle them throughout the shop. So it has to be like if you're gonna do an in-person experience, it has to, like every piece of it needs to be thought out, and like we're constantly trying to like whether we should have a person working the line tasters, or like, how do you reduce that wait time in line while still giving every single person the greatest customer service? Like that's a hard question, It's like some places I go, you're allowed two samples. It's like, okay, most people take 2 samples, but if someone really wants 6, okay. Like, okay, that's what they want. So it's the balance. That's really what it is the balance and the full experience.
I mean, as someone who came to the city from New York, I just love how much of a Baltimore spirit, just as someone who's a relative outsider, I guess, like you really just kind of embrace that community feel that I think our city's known for. And I'm wondering just how much of that do you think has played a part in really kind of embracing these Baltimore values and that informing your marketing and such?
A lot. I mean, so part of doing a new flavor every Friday, one of the things that I kind of have latched on to is sort of like I use the brewery model. Like they were like, we now are right next to Union, and they're constantly doing these collabs with other breweries. It's like, well, it's hard to do a collab when you're doing a flavor for a full season, but for a week you can do a collab. And we started collabing with local chefs. We've done flavors with local poets, with local authors, with musicians. We've had some of my favorite musicians. It's just been like the honor of my life to get to like create a collab flavor with a musician who I love, and it all has a nonprofit component as well. So it's like, especially the local ones, right? Like they're introducing us to these nonprofits that I've never even heard of. Right. And I live in this city and I love this city, and I'm constantly like, I love nonprofits as well. I love the people putting in work to make the city better. So to be able to like learn about a new nonprofit, partner with like someone like, you know, we did a flavor with like David Alima, who's this incredible photographer. Right. And he put us on to this incredible nonprofit. So it's just this like, it's such a joy and it's so fun. And I hope that the reason that it feels good is because it comes from a place of joy and happiness.
So I think we're kind of wrapped up here overall in time, but I guess for anybody at home who's thinking about getting into the ice cream business, any advice you would give yourself before starting that?
Sure.
That you might give
a lot of people have hit me up and said, "Oh, I'm interested in ice cream." I always say, "Do it." I mean, it might be a little verbose and kind of dramatic to be like it saved my life, but I didn't know what I was going to do in this world. I really didn't know. I really didn't know what I could do that would like keep me engaged and happy. I listed all those jobs. I worked so many jobs that I hated with people I didn't like. Like, I didn't know what to do. And for me, ice cream has just made me happy. It's made my kids happy. It's my kids run around in an ice cream factory. It's like, do it. Absolutely. And if it's cookies, do cookies, whatever it is, do it. The one advice I try to tell people is that be in love with your product, right? But also be in love with your business. That is equally as important, because I'm not making ice cream anymore, but I'm like, you have to love the growth of your business almost as much as you love creating your product. It's like growing it and creating it, because I keep thinking it's like, I don't want to be doing the marketing. It's like, more than I don't want to do the marketing, I want the Charmery to stay open. Like, I want to keep hiring people. I want to keep making ice cream. I want to keep being able to work on Saturday and never care. I like that more than I dislike any part of this job. So,
that's awesome. Anything upcoming that the folks should know about on the Charmery calendar?
So much. Ice cream for breakfast is the first weekend in February, where you open at 10 a.m. at all the shops and have breakfast themed flavors. We're doing another full century movie at our factory location. We're going to do Karate Kid. There's treats and all sorts of fun stuff, and it's just a great time. It's like the winter is busier for us than the summer. Like the summer, it's like, make ice cream, sell ice cream, let's go. Make sure we have enough people. The winter's like, well, how do we sell ice cream? So that's it. We're just keep trying to find new things and make people happy.
Whatever it is you guys are doing, keep doing it.
Thank you so much.
A great Baltimore business, and as a local, and now Alfonso as a local, I gotta say, it's just great to have you in our community. Love your ice cream.
Thank you.
Love your guys'
being
energy
here.
and your brand. And ladies and gentlemen, David Alima, appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
Absolutely. Well, this has been the Further Insights podcast. I'm Andrew Schuster,
I'm Alfonso Colasuonno.
and we'll see you next time.